Yo, what's going on, guys? Koi here. Now, One Punch Man fans, I understand there is a very, very drastic difference between Battle 17, Tier 17, and I would just like to one cover the reason why they did this, and then two explain the reason how I was able to defeat like characters like Octoclaw and other characters like Hammerhead in the future tense. And I'm going to show you guys some gameplay of me doing both of that. So if you guys enjoy the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell down below. And don't forget to check out more of the One Punch Man World content I've done before and am doing currently. I have all those on the front of my page. All right. So first things first, let's go ahead and talk about pretty much why they did this. And I think it's quite obvious why they kind of did this. And I actually had to get my eyes opened by someone in the comments. Shout out to that dude. Freaking, he told me, like, freaking, this is obviously a way to stop older players from kind of just cheesing the newer content. And that's true. I mean, it does, like, significantly stop you. The rewards are incredibly better for getting to this end game content. There's just one thing I kind of do want the devs to know, and it's like that there should be more easier ways to get older merits, except for having to spend, because I don't have time to actually get older merits because of this stuff. I'm just going to turn the music down just a tiny bit more. But, I don't have the time to go back and merit up a lot of my older characters and stuff like that, because it's like impossible if I'm not going to keep going forward in the game. So let me show you guys what I'm kind of looking at right now. So, from what we kind of got with Octoclaw was the ability to farm Impassioned, and what we got with the Urgent Hammerhead was we also got the way to get how do you say it, negative crit builds. And I think that that's how a lot of like these players are winning in general, is these neg crit builds, because if you don't know, negative crit is very detrimental to getting incredibly high damage in the game, especially if you're using a character like let's say Dreamworld Saitama. You're going to blitz the game just by getting a really good negative crit build. And for Octoclaw, it's pretty much the stuck in standard impression build that you can get with this guy, which does benefit a lot of characters like Silverfang and stuff like that, ones who mostly benefit from impression instead of negative crit, which is kind of just very important to discern between the two. Negative crit and impassioned are two different stats that benefit in two different ways. Now, I'm going to explain how I was kind of able to do this. I actually wanted to pull up the comment of the dude who actually just kind of like low-key like showed me he kind of showcased what it was, the reason why. Hang on, let me just go ahead and shout this guy out. Hang on, it was this one. Yeah, there it is. Now this dude, word for word, probably got it down the best way you can possibly get it down. And a lot of people are just hating because this dude's right. So he goes, this was Borka. He goes, I think mostly they did this for the people who have been grinding every day since launch, perfecting their builds while the game was in development on hold. Now they are back and hopefully staying, we will get less drastic boosts. I think that they will give us a boost like this for a good while. And I think that this does make sense, because realistically speaking, if you've seen the cards and the way that this kind of works and stuff like that, the cards are very, very different compared to the way they used to be. For instance, if I look at a gold 17, you could get over 2,137 attack stat, but if you go back to like one of the old gold 16s, it's only like 800 attack stat. So we're almost getting more than double the original attack stats for the main stat. Whether that be your defense, attack, composure reduction. So it's almost like you always have to kind of build this in order, which is just the way it makes sense. Now, for my free-to-play players, honestly, the way that this kind of works is rather sad. You're not going to be able to really pull this off with a free-to-play build, and I'm going to explain why. Now, the reason why is because this literally has to do with another thing that another player showed me, and that was impression arms. Now, impression arms do stack quite a bit. For instance, the impression arms that we're going to be talking about are specifically immunity arms. this is the greatest impression arms that works on all the characters, especially endgame bosses. And the reason why I kind of like characters like Putty Putty Prisoner a lot more, and it's because this one actually grants a defense reduction to the enemy, which is very, very important. A defense reduction to the enemy is massive and is actually very, very detrimental to you actually beating this endgame content. Now, the sad part is, if you're not someone who has like the cards to do this, for instance, I have just enough for 2 to get an 8% defense reduction. But let's say you're a pay-to-win whale, you're definitely going to be able to take that to that 16, to that 24, and that 24% is just absolutely ridiculous. Once you get that card to like rank level 5, enhancement level 5, a 24% defense reduction to the enemy is freaking massive. You're talking about massive amounts of defense reduction, literally tearing apart the enemy's defense. And that's the only way that people have been able to do this, is through the defense reduction. You're probably like, but I've seen other players do this too with different characters. And yes, because there are different characters that hold the same SSR card. For instance, Metal Knight, probably one of the best neg crit attackers in the entire game, also has the same card, which allows them to reduce the defense of the enemy. Tatsumaki, she's also one of the brand new characters. Well, not brand new. Well, she came out a year ago off of release. But as you can see, she also has that same defense reduction card that is very, very important to actually defeating this content. And you could be like, Koi, but what about the breakers? What about the damage dealers? Yes, those are very important too, because getting those cards is also another way that you get massive amounts of damage. And sadly, SSR cards just don't hold up to this standard that, I mean, SR cards don't hold up to the standard that SSR cards do. For instance, I'm going to be showing you Iron's card. Iron's card only gives you that reset and that really, really nice defense reduction. I mean, not defense reduction, but it allows you to stop the accumulation of these effects for a certain amount of time, which is actually very good, because then you're not going to be affected by those. Yes, this is really good for immunity, but he doesn't get that SSR bonus of damage defense reduction to the enemy that makes it very, very easy to beat. Now let's look at a damage card that actually matters quite a bit too, because you're also going to want to get a solid damage card. Now, once you get an SSR card that has 2 copies of the same SSR damage card, now you're kind of in that direction of, oh, now I'm going to be doing 50% attack to all allies. And if you enhance this even more, you're going to be able to boost your allies up to 70%. Which is very, very good at level 5 of that SSR card. These are very hard to get. And the technique attack, let alone, damage boost will go up 175%. So using any technique characters on this team will allow you to get to that ridiculous degree. Now, this is just the way that it works, sadly. They want to make it hard. They want to make SR characters kind of useless in this update. There are ways that we can make these SR characters still viable, but it has less to do with the memory card system than it has to really do with will chip systems and other stuff like that. So this is a very important, thing you need to pay attention to. The other thing is pretty much just making sure that you have your highest damaging characters on the team and making sure that you're probably using your defense character the most. I've talked about how maining a tank matters a lot more than maining an attacker, because the enemy will always attack the character with the highest threat, and with that character being the highest threat level, it's normally going to be the main player, which has the highest amount of threat in the game. So always maining a defender in general, like Iron, Putty Putty Prisoner, and just making sure that that card is active will make sure that you actually are able to pull off future bosses such and such. All right, well, that's pretty much it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Take it easy, and peace out.